morning. I'm Michael Murphy in Cape Millafalta. Welcome to Milwaukee. We're thrilled to have Irish Fest hosting this event with us today. I'm joined by my colleague and good friend Alderman Bob Donovan. I want to begin by letting you know Mayor Barrett, who was here just briefly and at the beginning of the festival last evening, offered his apologies. He had another event to run to this morning and wanted to send his best. He is here joined, though, by his staff. I know Patrick Curley, his chief of staff, was here earlier, and Megan O'Connor. Is Megan still here? So Megan was here also. And I know that they wanted to be here, but they offer their apologies for a previous commitment. We're very pleased to be here with Irish Fest again, and I want to specifically recognize the president of the Irish Fest, Kathleen Ward. Kathleen, if you want to stand up, please. And the executive director, Patrick Boyle. Patrick? You know, we're all really here because of Irish Fest, and we're celebrating their 34th anniversary. It's hard to believe since 1980. It's gone by very fast. I'm proud to say that I've only missed one of those years in 34 years. And I'm very proud of the fact, and some of the comments were made last evening, it's North America's largest Irish music festival. And it's really quite a remarkable story that you would think in Milwaukee, historically a Germanic city, has such a huge passion for everything Irish. I do think most people want to be Irish, but the reality is we've seen a great rebirth in our culture and our history. At one point in time, there were signs up in our country that said Irish need not apply. That is completely reversed now, and people are very thrilled and have the Irish in their community. And Irish Fest has played a big role in that. And I know the synergy between Ireland and Irish Fest has played a big role in promoting the culture, in fact, in Ireland. And so many artists come back to Milwaukee, and then you go back to Ireland and you go, I can't believe in Milwaukee they're celebrating Irish culture more than they are in Ireland. And so it's a great story. And we're also joined this morning by the city controller, Marty Matson, in the back room. Very pleased to have here, along with Spencer Coggs, our city treasurer. Thank you, gentlemen. In addition, from the County Board of Supervisors, Jerry Broderick. Jerry, thank you for being here. And we have representatives from many different departments within the city, including the library, the Department of City Development. Martha Brown is here, so thank you for being here. And as I indicated, we have also had a very special relationship with the city of Galway. So I do want to recognize that. We've set up a sister city many years ago with the city of Galway, and the spirit of Galway has played a big role of promoting our two cities. And I see Clem Welsh here and Keith Finnegan. And thank you for your leadership for also participating and making our event such a success. As I indicated, I have a special place, obviously, with the name of Michael Joseph Patrick Brendan Murphy. They couldn't figure out which saint to give me a name, and they gave me several. And let me tell you, it makes it very difficult on your Social Security card with all those names. But the reality is that my parents came to this country in 1960 from Dublin, Ireland. And I was just talking to Deputy Council, who's from Dublin, and he's from the south side, which is where my mother's from, Sandy Mountain. My father was the north side here from the Artane. And, you know, so I'm very proud of my Irish heritage and Irish community. And I think you see that coming through Irish Fest. And you can see that also with all the number of elected officials with the surnames like Barrett, like Donovan, like Murphy. And if you ever look at our circuit court judges, half of them have Irish surnames. And that's because I think in many respects, our parents, and especially the Irish culture, have tried to promote the importance of giving back to the community. I know my parents stressed that when they came to their new adopted country, how much the United States welcomed the Irish, and not only in the 1960s, but in the 1860s, when we had a terrible famine facing Ireland, the United States opened its doors. And I'm very proud of our Irish culture for a number of reasons, and I think Jim Shannon talked about that yesterday in his comments at the opening of his remark. We've had a number of people in this room who have come from Ireland and have talked about peace process. So for example, David Trimble was in this room along with Brenda de Bruin. And that was right before he received the Nobel Prize for Peace. And in that case, the two of them came here for the Kennan Forum to talk about the peace process. And literally 6 months later, the accord was signed. He later won the Peace Prize. And with all the travails that you watch in the news every evening, and if you're like me, you sometimes want to turn it off because it is so depressing lately, especially in the Middle East. And we watch all the rife and violence going on there, and you realize sometimes with these long simmering hatreds, some of it's based on ethnic, some of it's based on religion, you wonder if anybody's going to ever find a solution in peace. And sometimes you lose hope. But when you look at Ireland and what it went through for hundreds of years, it can happen. And it can happen because of people like Jim Shannon, people that care enough about trying to reach reconciliation and trying to reach across each side. I know when I was in Ireland working as a young man, and I went up to Northern Ireland, it was a very difficult process crossing the border. And we were just talking about Jim. He says, well, when I get back, I'm landing in Dublin, which is a better place to land, and I just take the bus up to Belfast. It's 2 hours away. I remember going up there, and it was 2 hours at the border, and I remember how difficult it was crossing the border. And now, we see much more synergy. And I think that's such a great message Ireland sends to the rest of the world, that peace and reconciliation can happen. People have to work together. And quite honestly, we should be all very proud of that. And Milwaukee has played a big role in that with the Ulster Project, which we have sponsored for many years, bringing young children together, Catholic and Protestant, and making sure people listen to each other. And I also want to recognize another Irishman here today, one of my other colleagues, Alderman Jim Bull. I see him in here too, so nice to see you, Jim. I'd like to introduce now my colleague, Alderman Donovan, who has a few remarks, and then I'll introduce all our guest speakers here today. Alderman?
Thank you, Mike, and here's the guy who deserves a big round of applause for all his work. It is a grand day for the Irish here in Milwaukee. But as Alderman Murphy had mentioned, our numbers here in Milwaukee are comparatively small compared with other ethnic groups, certainly. But by God, you'll have to admit, we pack a wallop. And as evidenced with Irish Fest, that has grown to really be the most successful ethnic festival here in the city of Milwaukee. And I can't tell you how excited I am, because this year, for the first time in a long time, my wife has given me permission to tap into my communion money, so drinks are on me all weekend, okay? But first you have to find me down on the ground, so look for me, okay? And second of all, I just want to mention Saturday and Sunday, if you're not aware, I do volunteer in the driver's tent. We take entertainers back and forth from the grounds, take dignitaries back and forth from the grounds to the hotel. So if you need a ride, just ask for Alderman Bob Donovan Saturday or Sunday, and you don't even have to tip me. So God bless all of you. Enjoy.
Thank you, Bob. Let me begin by introducing our Deputy Consul General from the Irish Consulate out of Chicago, Nicholas Michael. Prior to his current appointment as Deputy Consul General for the Irish Consulate, Mr. Michael served for 2 years as Second Secretary of the Embassy of Ireland in Tanzania. So many of you may not realize this, but Ireland supports relief in Africa more than practically any other country per capita of its size in all of Europe. And why is that? And that goes back to the famine that struck Ireland in the 1860s. And they recognized it's just a few generations ago. And so many years ago, Ireland made a dedicated effort to really work in Africa. And they provide, in fact, if the Doctors Without Borders, many times when I watch the news and you see it on TV and you're listening to them, they have Irish accents. So many of the medical personnel have worked with Ireland, and because they recognize it wasn't only a few generations ago where 1 million people died in Ireland of starvation. So very proud of that, and Nicholas was telling me a little bit about the contributions they've done in Ireland. And from April 2010 to 2011, he served as the third Secretary, European Union Division, Department of Foreign Affairs in Dublin. And prior to that, he served as the third Secretary in promoting Ireland Abroad Division in the Department of Foreign Affairs. We're very pleased to have him here today. And Nicholas, please.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Alderman Murphy and Alderman Donovan. And I'm honored to be here this morning, actually, in such a beautiful council chamber, on what is my second visit to Milwaukee, and first visit for the Irish Fest weekend. And I must say how nice it is to be sharing a podium with Jim Shannon, MP. It's lovely to see you, Jim, and Mayor Donal Lyons of Galway City, Mayor Mary Hode of Galway County, and I know we're joined here by John Crowe, Mayor of County Clare, and Damien Ryan, Mayor of County Galway. And there's a lot of, I suppose, West of Ireland representation here today, so I was somewhat relieved and pleased to learn that Michael was from Dublin. It's nice to meet a fellow Dub. I often, when I'm chatting to people across the Midwest, and especially in Chicago and Wisconsin and Cleveland, they always ask you where you're from. And when I say Dublin, there's always a slight shade of disappointment on people's faces. I then quickly follow up and say, well, I spent a bit of time in my youth in Galway, and my father's from Ballina, and then it's all right. But so, yeah, it's good to be here. I was just sort of thinking as well about, I'm coming to the end of my first year in the Midwest. I arrived exactly 12 months ago in Chicago, and kind of thinking about the priorities, I suppose, over the last year, and sort of what I've seen and done, and the people I've worked with. Key to that, of course, is Northern Ireland, and I'm often asked about it. And Jim spoke very eloquently yesterday at the welcoming ceremony about Northern Ireland, and as did Michael just now. And I just want to pay credit to the role that America has played in the peace process, the pretty crucial role that it's played. And a lot of that progress could not have been done without the great support of family and friends and colleagues this side of the Atlantic. I wanted to also say that we were all disappointed that the Haas and O'Sullivan talks weren't quite as successful as we'd hoped. There's still a lot of unfinished business in Northern Ireland in terms of implementation of the Good Friday peace agreement, and I would sort of urge everyone on this side of the Atlantic to continue that high level of engagement. We still need it. We still need your support and your encouragement, and it's something that we're very grateful for. I also wanted to sort of talk about very briefly and to sort of again acknowledge and pay credit to the contribution of, I suppose, the Irish diaspora over here and Irish America in general towards the Irish economic recovery. We've had a pretty tough last 6 years, as I think everyone here is aware, but we're sort of coming out of that now. And again, that's a huge amount of our success, and meeting the challenges that we've faced over the last 6 years is down to the support and the investment from this side of the Atlantic again. Foreign direct investment from the US continues to grow in Ireland, as does Irish investment back into the US, and it's a wonderful two-way sort of business partnership that I think is set to grow and grow as we emerge from the economic crisis. And I know there's a business event later on today as part of the kind of festival program, and we're delighted to see that. And anything that I think can contribute to that business partnership between America and Ireland, between Milwaukee and Ireland, between Milwaukee and Galway, between Milwaukee and Mayo and County Clare, that's a great thing, and I think there's a huge amount of potential still there for us to tap into. Lastly, I wanted to just sort of mention the upcoming centenary celebrations, 1916 Easter Rising. It's 100 years in 2016, and it's something again tied into the sort of Northern Ireland peace process. The Irish government will be marking 1916 in a big way, both in Ireland but also around the world, and very much so here in America. And it's something that I'm eager to talk to Kathy and Patrick about in terms of how that ties into the Milwaukee Irish Fest, and how we might work with them to mark that occasion. And again, it's sort of 1916 is I suppose part of a period of celebration, a decade of commemorations, if you like, for Ireland. 1916 probably being, you know, a centre point, and is something that the Irish government is very keen to remember in a very constructive spirit. You know, paying great attention to historical accuracy and the journey that Ireland has come on from 1916 to today. And that journey has been one, I suppose, where we can look back at the sort of, again, the partnership with America. People remark to me quite often, obviously, that, you know, Ireland has had a great influence in the development of America. Ireland building some of the great cities of America, and you know, everything from the Erie Canal to half of Chicago. But I like to sort of say also that, well, the American influence in Ireland, in contemporary Ireland over the last century, has also been huge, and it has very much been a two-way street right up to the Northern Ireland peace process. And that's something I think that we want to very much acknowledge and explore a little bit further over the next few years as we commemorate 1916. So that's pretty much all I needed to say, I think. I'd like to thank you for being here today, and again, thank the members of the Council Chamber and Mayor Barrett and Alderman Donovan and Murphy, and to wish you all a very happy and fun festival this weekend. Thank you.
And Nicholas did mention, but I want to also recognize, we do have the Mayor John Crow from County Clare. We also have, joining us, Damien, Mayor Ryan from County Mayo. In addition, Craig McKeon from one of the deputy mayors from the Lower District. And we have a number of council members here also from Ireland. So there's not much business going on in Ireland right now. So it's good to have you all here. Our next speaker is Jim Shannon, who's new to this council and not new to Milwaukee. He's been here in the past, and Jim was first elected at the Irish Borough Council in 1985 and served as mayor in 1991 and 92. He was elected as a member of the Northern Ireland Forum for Political Dialogue in 1996 until he completed his work in 1998. He was then subsequently elected to Northern Ireland Assembly representing Strangford. Within the Assembly, Jim served on both the Public Accounts Committee and Agricultural Committee, and he was re-elected in both 2003 and 2007, stepping down from the Assembly in 2011 after he was elected to Parliament. We're very pleased to have Jim here today. Jim?
It's an absolute pleasure, Alderman Murphy, Alderman Donovan, councillors, Deputy Consul General, mayors all, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I always look forward to coming to Milwaukee, and I can say that with a genuine opinion, because I do. I was nearly not always sure that was where I wanted to be in relation to Irish Fest as a unionist, but I realised in my first time I come here 3 years ago that there was nothing to fear from coming to Irish Fest, but it was good to come as a unionist and as an Ulster Scot and enjoy a cultural tradition that you have in Irish Fest here as an Ulster Scot. So I'm pleased to be here as that. I'm also very pleased to have the opportunity to speak to you. I'm also very pleased to be here as a Democratic Unionist Member of Parliament for Strangford of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And I want in particular to congratulate Milwaukee Council on the fantastic work that they do, both in the ground, through their Milwaukee Youth Council, because we do some research on you, you know, we check up on you, make sure you're doing what you should be doing, and we know the good work that you do through the Youth Council here and through your 8 committees. The one thing I was saying to the Mayor of Larne beforehand, it never ceases to amaze me that each of you as councillors, as aldermen, are in charge of a district that has, and I checked this here right before it comes, so I think I'm absolutely statistically correct, 40,185 people each one of the councillors here represent. Back home, the councillors represent about 5,000 or 6,000, I think Greg and I were saying. So what a difference and what a responsibility that both of you and all your other colleagues have as well. Special relationship, the United States, along with the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, share many things. We really do have a special relationship, joined together by our common language, by our beliefs, by our goals and our interests, and in our democratic institutions. But we also share a joint heritage, a very important heritage. Many of you, perhaps without even knowing it, have Scots-Irish ancestry, including 17 of your presidents, who have linked their ancestry to Northern Ireland. So I'm very delighted to be here today as an Ulster Scot to cement the special relationship between the USA and specifically with Northern Ireland. Two of your presidents, and I'm just going to quote, I made a lengthy speech, but I was conscious that I'm not allowed to have a lengthy speech, so I kept it short for that purpose. But James Buchanan, who was your 15th president, he said that my Ulster blood is my most priceless heritage. And your 28th president, Woodrow Wilson, he said, I myself am happy that there runs in my veins a very considerable strain of Irish blood and a Scottish conscience. So that's just two of your presidents of the 17 that can count their ancestry back to Northern Ireland. We certainly owe a lot to America, and particularly to former President Bill Clinton for his role in the peace process, and our Deputy Consul General mentioned that as well. I'm very conscious that we are today because of the contribution of the American nation, and in particular of the United States administration. Bill Clinton visited the province 3 times, each time bringing thousands onto the streets to greet him, Protestants and Catholics, nationalists and unionists, side by side. I think this gives him the hope that people come together, regardless of why, then Northern Ireland could move beyond its past. And with that in mind, George Mitchell was appointed the peace envoy, and he proved to be a respected and impartial figure to chair talks. And that process moved forward because of the massive contribution of the United States and what we did. I have no doubt that the ongoing involvement of the White House in Northern Ireland's affairs was key to the signing and the success of the Belfast 1998 agreement. The next President, George Bush, took an active interest in Northern Ireland's political progress, and the current President, Barack Obama, continues to do so as well. He proved to be a huge hit when he visited Ireland in 2011, following the G8 summit, which was held in Northern Ireland in 2013, and he made a truly inspiring speech to hundreds of young people, encouraging their generation to be the one that would continue the change. And we are very grateful to Barack Obama and the President for coming over and the strive for peace. And I also believe that the next generation, the ones of my children and my children's children, and others from Northern Ireland will say that as well, that even greater changes and improvements in Northern Ireland, and we are so thankful to America's ongoing support and interest in our little country. As well as the bonds I've mentioned, we have also acted as allies in both world wars, and still in Iraq and Afghanistan. And Alderman Murphy mentioned it there in his contribution, and Alderman Donovan as well. We certainly have, we could certainly look to the Middle East and the problems there are in the world, and there's lots of them. But we also have to remember that the United States of America and the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and many other countries stood together in those two conflicts. That means not only do we stand side by side, fighting for freedoms, fighting for liberty, fighting for democracy, and sharing in victories, but it also means as well that we fall side by side, paying the ultimate sacrifice, sharing in the horrendous loss that war brings. Not only do we remember that those who fought and died in the 2 world wars, but almost on a daily basis we hear of soldiers killed in Iraq and Afghanistan. Before I came away, I checked the figures. As of the 9th of August, a total of 2,340 American soldiers lost their lives in Afghanistan, and 453 British soldiers have also lost their lives. The bravest of the brave, we owe a lot to them as well, including a young lady from my constituency, Corporal Channing Day. Again, through the war, through loss and through victory, we share these common bonds. And it is because of these bonds that we understand the importance of our special relationship, the special relationship that we have from the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, from Northern Ireland and Ulster in particular, with the United States of America, and a relationship we have with the Republic of Ireland and with all your people as well. War can unite even the staunchest opponents when there's a common enemy, as was in the case of World War I. And I just want to, if I can, very quickly comment on that, because I was downstairs and I was looking at your memorial in the foyer, and the United States entered the war in 1917, and there's a roll call down there of those who gave their lives in that war. But what you may not know is, in our history, and I'll go back to ours because we're the centenary, the war started in August 1914. At that time, the 36th Ulster Division and the 10th and the 16th Irish Divisions fought valiantly side by side in World War I. In all, about 210,000 Irishmen served in the British forces during World War I. Some 35,000 died. Unionists who were particularly concentrated in the northern province of Ulster enlisted to form the predominantly Unionist and indeed probably wholly Protestant 36th Ulster Division, and Nationalists, they joined the 10th and the 16th Irish Divisions. Despite the differences back home, they fought alongside one another at the Battle of Messines. Regardless of where the men came from, the feeling of brotherhood could not be denied despite the differences. The life of a fellow soldier, Unionist or Nationalist, did not matter. And I want to just, if I could, and I'm not going to prolong this too much longer, but just want to say one wee thing. And I was reading through my history. History was the one subject at school that I probably enjoyed and excelled in. There's a particularly poignant story told of Major William Redmond. He's a Nationalist MP, and a 23-year-old Private John Meek, who's an Ulsterman. As Major Redmond fell, Private Meek, the Ulsterman, battled through gunfire to reach Redmond's side, and as he bandaged Redmond's wounds, he was shot twice, and despite Redmond's insistence that he retreat to the safety of the British lines, the young man refused to leave his comrade's side. Although they were both rescued, Redmond died of his injuries, and Meek was awarded the military medal for his actions. Again, maybe a story that not everybody knows, but a story of a nationalist and a unionist together, side by side in First World War. That was in 1914. Here we are in 2014. Things haven't changed greatly. We are at peace. Ireland's two separate identities now, but Northern Ireland's within the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland have their own state and their own government. But here we are at Irish Fest together. And we have Lauren Council well represented through the Deputy Mayor and the councillors and their staff. We have representatives here from the Fermanagh Lakelands, representatives from the Causeway Coast, and we have lots of people from Northern Ireland who have no bother whatsoever coming along to Irish Fest to enjoy the culture, enjoy the tradition, enjoy the history, and also enjoy each other's company. And what I seen last night at Irish Fest was many of us standing side by side with happy smiles, particularly with the red hot chili pipers, with their energy and yes, we did sit on in those hard seats until after after 12 o'clock or thereabouts, but we had the opportunity to be on our feet dancing, and well, maybe not dancing in my case, just standing there, but certainly clapping hands and enjoying the occasion. I'm thankful that now, particularly with the number of events that we have had the privilege to host in the last few years, thousands of men and women from the province stand side by side, supporting and spectating, not stopping to think or even care what politics or religion of those around them are. I'm delighted that this is now the reality of Northern Ireland. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to you all, thank you very much for your very, very kind invitation, in particular to Alderman Murphy and Alderman Donovan. These two men are always there, they're always smiling, they're always happy, they're always encouraging, as indeed are all the members of Milwaukee Council as well. I want to make a wee presentation if I could, and I was just talking to Alderman Murphy beforehand. He tells me he plays an odd game of golf. So I wanted to present him with special House of Commons titanium golf balls. Now, these golf balls, can I tell you, they go further, they go higher, they hug the fairways, they land right on the tee, and they're not that far from the hole if you're Rory McIlroy. But I'm very pleased to present these to Alderman Murphy in the belief that his golf will improve considerably. I also brought a wee paper from the House of Commons as well. That's for you, Alderman Murphy, whenever you're doing your work here in the council, to put that on top of your papers and make sure they don't blow away. And I brought a wee book, a House of Commons notebook. Now, what's it for? It's to take the names of the councillors who misbehave. I think it was Councillor, yes, from County Galway, was telling me that sometimes the councillors misbehave in Galway Council. They misbehave everywhere, let me tell you, not just at Galway Council. But if they misbehave, take their names, and when your name goes in that book, you're in trouble. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed.
Well, thank you, Minister. And, you know, Rory's from Northern Ireland, but everybody considers him part of Ireland, right? I mean, he's an amazing man, 25 years of age, and if you watched the last Masters, he came back in the last 9. He's just an incredible guy. I want to recognize an Ulster person, and Preston Cole is here. I'm teasing him, but he has been adopted by the Scottish Americans, and and in fact, he participates always in the competition with the Scottish every year, and he'll be very much a fixture at Irish Fest. I also want to say thank you to Terry McDonald to help get this event organized, and my other good friend and colleague on the Common Council, Alderman Perez, who's also here, and he represents the largest growing immigrant community in not only Milwaukee, but really the state of Wisconsin, the Latino community. We're very pleased to have him here also. As I indicated, we have some returning friends. So the mayor of Galway, Donald Lyons, has served as mayor of Galway City in 2001 and 2, and was again elected as mayor earlier this year. And the mayor is a native of Castle Baldwin, County Sligo, but moved to Galway in the 1970s, where he met and married Myra Mullivan. And when they have 2 children, 2 beautiful children. A trade unionist, he joined the Progressive Democrats in 1986 and was co-opted to the cooperation in 1996 following the resignation of Liam Madden. In 1999, the mayor and his colleague, Paul Colleran, won 2 seats in the South Ward. We're very pleased to have him here today once again. Mayor.
Alderman Murphy, Alderman Donovan, and Deputy Councillor General Nicholas Michael, Jim Shannon, Member of Parliament for Strangford, Mary Hood, Mayor of County Galway, John Crow, Mayor of Clare, Jamie Ryan, Mayor of Mayo, members of the Milwaukee Common Council, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Tá an áthas orm mar mayor na Gaillimh bheith an seo inniu an ócáid specialty seo. I would like to sincerely thank Alderman Murphy and Alderman Donovan and members of the Council for this reception here in City Hall this morning. It is 13 years since the twinning of our 2 cities, which have a lot in common, both being located on the waterfront and both very much festival cities. I want to acknowledge the tremendous work being undertaken by the organisers and volunteers of Irish Fest who are here this morning, whose ongoing commitment to develop and grow Irish music and culture is very evident for the past 34 years. Yesterday, members of the Galway group had a very worthwhile and fruitful meeting with the organisers of Irish Fest to develop further relations with both cities, culturally, commercially and academically. And I hope that maybe Alderman Murphy and Alderman Donovan will pursue this with members of the City Council with Irish Fest, and that we'll grow these links further. The Spirit of Galway Group have been instrumental in bringing Galway delegations to Irish Fest for a long number of years, and 2 of the original members, Keith Finnegan and Clem Walsh, are here today, and I think they deserve a boola bus for their efforts. I'm going to be very brief here this morning. I really love coming to Milwaukee. My family love coming here. This is my 5th time here, and I certainly want to extend a warm and sincere thank you for the welcome and the hospitality that's been given the Galway delegations down through the years and to Irish in general, and I hope that we all have a fantastic Irish Fest here over the weekend and look forward to the coming years. So I wish you all the very best for the future. Hope you have an enjoyable weekend and Gura Mila Mahagat Galir. As Mayor of the City, I want to take this opportunity as well of making a small presentation to both Alderman Murphy and to Alderman Donovan. So, now I know there's a little bit of rivalry between both aldermen, so in order to keep them all sweet, we have the same presentation for both of them. Mayor Barrett, I already presented him with a version. This is a print of the Long Walk in Galway with a Galway hooker. By the way, the Galway hooker is a boat in front. So again, it's great pleasure for me to present Michael Murphy with this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And to Bob Donovan. And again, sincere thanks for all your hospitality.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, sometimes the language does get a little strange because you can imagine being in Galway and someone says, I'm having a great crack with the hooker on that leg. And you're like, what? What did he say? But we are so pleased to have our sister city relationship with Galway. We've had certainly exchanges of elected officials, but also we've had some opportunities for business exchanges. And in fact, this afternoon at Irish Fest at 5:30, there'll be an opportunity for American companies and business executives to have that exchange again with opportunities in Ireland, and of course, opportunities for people in Ireland to invest in America. Speaking of Galway again, we are very fortunate. They have the mayor of County Galway. Jerry Broderick will want to get a chance to meet with the mayor because he represents the county. But Mayor Holt serves as the head of the Galway County Council, the authority responsible for local government in County Galway, Ireland. As a county council, it is governed by a 2001 Local Government Act. The council is responsible for housing, community, roads, transportation, urban planning and development, and culture and environment. The council has 39 elected members, and elections are held every 5 years. The head of the council has the title of the mayor. I like that idea, but I don't think I'm going to get away with that. But the reality is, you know, we only have one woman on the city council, Alderwoman Mullally Coggs, and it's always something that I feel bad about. I think there should be at least 13 other women, okay, on the Common Council. But the reality is Ireland has been very progressive. Two presidents of Ireland, both women who have recently, who were elected, who have served just a tremendous job in Ireland. And obviously here for our 25th anniversary, we had the President of Ireland, and she was warmly received here. I mean, I remember lines and lines of people wanting to just shake her hand. And they've gone on to very stellar diplomatic careers after leaving their posts in Ireland. So perhaps that's maybe in your future. We never know. So we're very pleased to have you here. Please, Mayor.
Mayor, a gine úsla agus a cóide, is mór an honordamsa bheithan seo aniu an ócáid speisialta seo. Alderman Murphy, Alderman Donovan, Nicholas Michael, Jim Shannon, John Crowe, Mayor of Clare, Damien Ryan, Chairperson of Mayo County Council, Donal Lyons, Chairman of Galway City Council, and you distinguished guests. It's a great honour to be here this morning. I thank you very much for the kind invitation and for the wonderful work that you do with your festival. It's an honour, as I say, to be here and to see the work that goes into the organising of the Milwaukee Irish Festival. And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank and compliment the wonderful volunteers who work so hard to make sure it all happens. For us, we turn up and we see what happens here, but I think they're the unsung heroes who go out, who work hard on behalf of the Festival Committee and ensure that it goes from strength to strength. This is my third time here, and I have to say I'm looking forward to this festival as much as I did to the first one where I attended here. It's good that your mayor is also part of the volunteering group, and it just shows how well you work together. I also want to be associated with the kind remarks made by my colleague Donal Lyons to Clem Walsh and Keith Finnegan, who really and truly, I suppose, are responsible for us all being here and for the wonderful work that they do from our side to ensure that we continue to be part of the festival. So once again, thank you very much for your kind invitation, and I'm delighted to be here, and I just want to say to you that we look forward to continuing to support you and to continuing to support the work that you do in promoting the Irish culture, the Irish music, the Irish folklore, Irish history, and I look forward certainly to the week ahead. And I have a small presentation to make both to Alderman Murphy and Alderman Donovan. Garamila Mahag of Gilear.
Beautiful Galway crystal. And we also have some gifts we'd like to present. The mayor's office has left a gift for each one of you on your desk, but this is on behalf of the City Common Council, Alderman Donovan, and we would like to exchange this also. Well, I know in conclusion that our continuing relationship will only grow. Irish Fest has played a huge role in our city in terms of the contribution they've played. I think you may have seen yesterday in the opening remarks, the recent economic impact shows that Irish Fest contributes nearly $20 million to the economy of City of Milwaukee, over 250 employees, which is an incredible, successful record they've had. But we want to move forward, and we will continue to do so. But the relationship we've developed with Galway, with Northern Ireland, with our Scottish neighbors and friends, I think will grow only in the future. And I'm very confident that our friendship will continue. So thank you very much for all of you coming this morning on behalf of the City of Milwaukee, and have a wonderful weekend. And just, you know, this weather is going to be like this the rest of the day. All right, bye-bye.